Welcome to the inaugural Box Office Bar Awards, or the BOBAs, for those of you who enjoy acronyms. This is the award show of all award shows. Every nominee has been waiting on this momentous occasion since our podcast's inception several months ago. Coming up on today's show, we bring you the top 10 films that have defined this year in cinema. We're also bringing you 8 awards for some of our individual picks from this utter arsehole of a year, including the highly coveted 2020 award for the biggest disgrace to humanity in film. Only at the BOBAs can we cater for your Academy Award needs. Forget about the Oscars, forget about the BAFTAs. Today, we're here for the BOBAs. Jack Chambers and Alistair Waterfield proudly present the Box Office Bar Awards 2020. Welcome to the Box Office Bar. That's how did you like my intro, Jack?
That is the most over-the-top thing I've ever heard, and I love it. I think you've hit the tone perfectly. We are a very serious show with very serious awards.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that we can't be in the same room today because of lockdown. Because we're both wearing tuxedos, actually.
Yep, I'm wearing a tuxedo
and
while
how
sat
fine
on my
we
bed.
Look. And how great we look. We've got the champagne. It's an amazing time of year.
I've trimmed my
Box
mullet.
Office Bar Awards.
Trimmed my mullet just for the occasion.
It's like something out of a trailer park. It's amazing. Neither of us have the best look at the moment, I would say.
Hey,
but
speak for yourself. I'm very proud of this haircut. Me and Rihanna are bringing it back, I'm telling you.
Yeah, sure. I was doing it for years before you. Anyway.
Well, before we get to the awards, how was your holidays? Well, firstly, Happy New Year to everyone, because it's our first episode of 2021.
God. It was all right, you know. I didn't go back, obviously. They everything went terribly with the days before Christmas, so I ended up staying right where I was and had Christmas at the flat in London. So no presents and no Christmas walks and things like that.
I mean, you could have still walked.
There was never snow. I was too hungover most of the time.
Well, that's all right.
We did go out once in order to drink, which was all right. Went and sat in the park and had some mulled wine for a bit.
Not all bad then.
No, not all bad. How was yours?
Yeah, fine. Managed to get out of London. Spent Christmas at my parents. Also spent New Year's at my parents. But now we're in lockdown 3, and I was just planning to come back to London, and now I'm stuck. So, don't really know.
Serves you right. Serves you fucking right.
Well, no policemen are listening to this show. I might just come back anyway. Fuck it. But if there are any officers listening, this is a comedy show, and nothing is to be taken seriously. Especially all my jokes about
including our reviews. Any of our opinions about film are also not to be taken seriously.
And at any time I've mentioned stalking a female celebrity, please, it's a joke.
Yeah, he only did it once.
Anyway. Legally, I wasn't allowed to do it anymore.
So yeah, as we said, this is the BOBAs, and the BOBAs are just I've already said it in my amazing intro. We could just jump straight into it, but I'll just reiterate. We've got a countdown of our 10 favourite films of the year, and we spent quite a while coming up with our individual lists, and then we combined them over lengthy discussions on Zoom. But we've come up with what we're calling our definitive list. So you can fuck off the BFI's website and Guardian and whatever, because they're all wrong. This is the definitive.
After looking at some of the lists, they really are wrong.
Some of them, it's amazing how different some of them are. But Yeah, we've kind of taken everything into consideration, and we've added some extra bits into it as well, including our coveted 2020 award, which will come up towards the end of the show, because we know you're all waiting on that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you've listened to the show, you might already know what it is, but that's the price. Well, that's what you get for paying attention.
Who knows?
We'll just say with some of these we haven't reviewed on the show, so trust us, we've seen all of them, so we are talking somewhat from experience. But yeah, obviously some films we didn't get to see every single film that came out this year, as we're not paid to do this, so we can't really afford to take the time to do it. But it's all the best of what we've seen, and anything that we thought deserved a mention we've tried to watch over the last few days to prepare.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Just so you know.
Anyway,
don't want anyone getting upset that we didn't mention a certain film when I probably just haven't seen it.
Yeah, all right. Well, without further ado, let's crack on without any more disclaimers as to why we're terrible.
All right, okay. Well, we'll start with number 10 on our top 10 films of 2020. Would you like to start? This is your idea for this film, so I'll let you announce it.
Okay. Number 10. Soul. So this is obviously the film that came out on Christmas Day on Disney Plus. Soul, with Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, and a smattering of other talent like
Richard Ayoade's in it.
Richard Ayoade, and it's just an incredibly heartwarming film. It's emotional. I welled up. I think I'll admit I cried. I think sort of.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't cry, but I did enjoy Soul, and it's a good Pixar film. It's not quite up, but it's very good.
It looks great as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think
it's got that. Everything just looks so wonderful. I remember watching Ratatouille when it came out and thinking like, it's amazing because the food looks so good, and this is it's a similar thing. It's like everything just feels like, I don't know, it's a sensory adventure.
Yeah, Soul. It definitely looks amazing, and the sound is great because obviously it is heavily based around music, and I think it's done really well. And I didn't realise till the credits rolled at the end that the sound was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails fame does all the David Fincher films, which I wouldn't have put those two together, but learn something new every day.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see them branching out a bit, isn't it?
They're human after all. Shall we go to number 9?
Yeah, let's go on to number 9.
At 9,
I'm going to do that voice each time.
Number 9, we have Saint Maud. Now, we did review this one on the show, and we both thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think we loved it at the time because we went to see that at the cinema together back when we could. And it was a really good film, and I think we came up with as kind of balanced a criticism of it as possible. But to be honest, I've basically forgotten all of the things I didn't like about it, and the more I've thought about it, the more I'm just like, no, it was actually just really good, and that's all that stuck with me. And I think that's it's a testament to the film itself. Is when a film seems to get better, the more it matures in your head.
Yeah,
I think that's a good sign.
And I think remembering that it's first time writer-director as well in Rose Glass, I think she did a terrific job. And I'm glad to see it popping up in quite a few publications, top 20, top 50 list of the year, because it deserves it. I think it's really well made, really well done. And like you said, some of the faults we had with it before, I don't really think about anymore. I just remember really enjoying it.
Yeah. So I think that's a worthy inclusion in our top 10.
And also the creepy performance by Morfydd Clark as well, who I'm more confident in pronouncing her name now.
Yeah, no, she was great, and I think we'll get onto our acting awards later, but she definitely came up in the discussion.
Yeah,
for her
And
performance.
Who was it we confused? The supporting actress with who played the old dancer. Who was it we kept confusing her for?
We thought it was fucking Meryl Streep.
That was it. It was Meryl Streep looking.
Yeah.
Like. Oh, bless her. I've forgotten her name now, but she was good. I just had to mention that because I just kept picturing Meryl Streep in my head.
Yeah.
All right. What have we got next?
So now we move on to our first 2 awards of our show. We're doing the best soundtrack and best cinematography. So
do you want me to do soundtrack?
Yeah, I'll do cinematography because I've already mentioned. I actually mentioned this cinematographer and the film in our first ever episode. When I was making my dream cast and crew for a film.
That's for all the OG listeners there. Good.
Exactly. Greg and Co. So my our award for cinematography for 2020 goes to Jaron Blaschke for The Lighthouse. That film was just gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was so out of left field as well. What was it, like the 1.1 to 1 ratio choice? And then just it's shot beautifully. The homages to classic paintings and stuff in it. Yeah, it just looks like if anyone ever remembers one thing about The Lighthouse, it's how it looks. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just every frame a painting, basically. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And it's inspired a lot of people, myself included, when I did all my uni stuff in third year. It was a big reference that I used, and many other incredibly pretentious people.
I was going to say, what a shock. CSM students stealing ideas yet again.
Exactly. Onto the soundtrack. Who have you got?
Well, for soundtrack, now, there's a reason that I've been chosen to announce this winner is because it's a name I'm going to find difficult to pronounce. It was...
There we go.
Emily Levenaise Farouche for Rocks. A lot of people I know haven't seen Rocks, but it's definitely worth seeking out if you can. It's a British film about a teenage girl in London who's having trouble handling problems when a single mother abandons her. And... sort of the familial connections and with friends as well that sort of get... Why are you laughing?
Why are you describing the film?
Because why not?
You're meant to be describing the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, true. I hadn't thought of that. Well, yes, the soundtrack's great.
Yeah,
it's a mix of sort of classic score and then sort of contemporary London sounds that if you lived in London for a while, I couldn't help but think, yeah, this is a London film. This is made by people from London or have a love of London. And I think it just worked really well.
I've got £5. I have 20.
Yeah, I see the queen's shining.
Rocks, man.
What I work today?
Welcome to the future.
Wait, where's your ticket?
Close your eyes. Think of everything that is happy. And stop thinking about all your worries.
We're coming with you.
Yeah, in terms of capturing the mood, it got it perfectly. The soundtrack followed the heartbeat of the city, I thought, pretty perfectly. Whether it was music coming out of someone's headphones on the bus, or if it was, an ambient piece of music that you might, like, the kind of thing that if you're walking through an estate, you might hear someone playing out on their speaker. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the rhythm of the city definitely kind of taking centre stage.
Yeah, I'd say that 100%.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really... Because we haven't mentioned it on the podcast, I was like, oh, fuck, I'll explain it a bit, because not many people have seen it.
Yeah, but Jack, it's coming up in a minute.
I know, I forgot about that. Anyway, number 8 on the list.
Number eight.
We have Uncut Gems. Now, this is one of those that I sort of forgot that it came out this year. Well, 2020. because it came out.
It was in early 2020.
Yeah, it was in
it?
January, I think. But when I reminded myself, I couldn't not include it. It's the Safdie Brothers project, starring, of course, Adam Sandler in arguably his best role. I'd say second, but it doesn't matter. And I think I described it on here before as the living embodiment of anxiety. If you want to know what having anxiety feels like, watch that film.
The fucking man?
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
And fuck you, man.
Yeah, there are lots of people I know that have only gotten part way through, but honestly, I can't recommend more for you to persevere with that film, because it's a treat, but it's a bit of a trip. It's amazing. Yeah, we've not reviewed it on the show, but we've talked about it a lot, and we've talked about it a lot for good reason, because it is something that really sticks with you. You won't forget this film in a hurry.
Yeah, 100%. And it almost reminds me of some films where, like you say, you get taken on a trip visually, sort of having certain colours and effects going on, but you were just taken on a trip by the sheer speed of the narrative and everything going on at a breakneck speed, and you having no way of stopping it just because it's just one nightmare after another. But 100% deserves to be on the list.
Yeah. And talking of emotional reaction to film, the next award coming up is Jack's Tearjerker Award.
Well, I decided this would be a great idea for an award because I am notorious for getting emotionally involved in films. Outside of films, I don't really get upset that much, but in films, I cry all the fucking time. So, the nominees, actually, I only had one in mind. So, it was His House is the winner of the first Jack's Tearjerker Award, because I cried like a baby on multiple occasions watching that film, as I said in the podcast and as I showed on the Instagram. We'll talk more about that film another time, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check out our old review for it. But my God, that film has some very sad moments and made me cry an awful lot.
Yeah. No, I think that's about right. I mean, you've told me about lots of other films you've cried at in the past, but that one, when it gets me as well, I think then I know, it's definitely up there, because obviously being a hard man like I am, it's
I couldn't even make up a joke for that one.
No, let's just
move on.
Let's just let that hang like the horrible fart it is. Next is number 7. And what is number 7? Well, Jack's already told you what this film is about, because this film is Rocks, which is on Netflix, which you didn't mention. The only thing you didn't mention about this film.
Oh, see, that's why, because I didn't watch it on Netflix. I streamed it on BFI when it came out.
Okay. So well, it's now on Netflix.
Oh, okay. I wasn't actually aware of that. Wonderful.
Yeah, and it's just a great film. The whole project was like incredibly collaborative. At the end, at the start of the credits, it mentions how there was a lot of input from young people all around London, and it really shows, because one of the things about films that utilize younger cast members is it so often feels like inauthentic, or like the characters they're being told to act like adults but as children, and it's weird, and it never really transfers over properly. But the cast in this is just sublime. I was just bowled over by that, and it's just such an impressive film for basically an entirely inexperienced cast. And
I think that's one of the main things I remember about it, is how great the cast was, and not just how good they were, but how authentic it felt, in that it genuinely did feel like I was a fly on the wall watching young people in London dealing with problems, rather than, like you say, people being directed. And I think it really worked well.
And the fact that it was cut in with iPhone footage as well. It was like you almost kind of forgot whether you were watching a documentary or if you were watching a film, because it didn't feel acted a lot of the time, and then those moments reinforced, like nothing really changed. It was just like, I don't know, it was brilliant. Is all I can really say for that.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. What number are we up to now? Number
6.
Number 6 is Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor, which Alistair reviewed recently. But if you remember, it's one of the gorier films of the year.
Yeah.
And I didn't review it at first, but then I watched it twice after and loved it. I thought it was brilliant. Very much sort of going in his father's footsteps of David Cronenberg, and it was very atmospheric, very visceral when the gore came. I thought the world it created worked really well, and it didn't have to explain too much. It just presented things to you, and you just sort of went with it. I thought the performances were great, and I just thought it was really good all around.
Yeah, amazing film. I can't really add all that much more. It was just visceral. Is the one word that comes to my head.
I don't know if Sean Bean has it in his contract that his characters have to go through the worst punishment, but fucking hell, poor guy.
Hey, we don't kink shame on this. He can do whatever he wants.
Oh, he's living the dream. He's living his kink, and he's getting paid for it. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. Fantastic film. Definitely worth the watch. I think that's available on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Amazon Prime it is.
Yeah. Definitely worth seeing.
Well, that brings us to a different award. I believe it is Best Supporting Role.
It is Best Supporting Role in any of the films from 2020. To be honest, there was only one choice for this, wasn't there?
Yeah, we both said it before while we were discussing, and that was the only one we needed.
Yeah, it's Sacha Baron Cohen for The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, he definitely stole the show in that film. Every scene he was in, he was the heart and soul of it. And
to be honest, even in the scenes he wasn't in, I was thinking, but I wonder what he's doing.
Yeah, I can't remember his character's name, but just sat there, I wonder what Sacha Baron Cohen's doing right now.
Yeah.
I wonder how.
Well, I mean, it sounded like he had good source material. I can't remember his name either, who's portraying, but he was the writer of the often kind of adorning people's bookshelves steal this book.
Yeah.
And so I think pretty lively character in the first place to embody, but what a job he did of that. And I was surprised because Sacha Baron Cohen, I've only ever seen him in his kind of character prank-esque films, so I never really saw him as someone that could deliver a really serious role with that kind of presence. I knew that he had kind of charisma, but I didn't realise he had that in his locker.
Yeah, and I think that was the most eye-catching thing about it, is that you didn't see it coming. Obviously, he's a very talented bloke, but you'd be lying if you said that you knew him for his dramatic chops. Like,
exactly.
People only ever think of Borat. He was also in the Alice in Wonderland sequel as like one of the antagonists, which I don't know why I saw that, and that's the sort of stuff I've got in my head of him, just expecting him to be some crazy character. But no, he did it so well, and I have a feeling when lesser award shows roll around, then I'd be amazed if he wasn't nominated again.
Yeah. Well, we are the benchmark here. I imagine most of the award shows will be tuning into this to.
Oh yeah,
to
there's a
figure
reason
out.
we're a month and a half before the Oscars. It's because they need someone to steal off of. And moving on to number 5, we have another one.
Number 5.
Another. Oh, you've got to do that every time.
I'm always going to interrupt you.
Now at number 5, we have another one we haven't reviewed on the show, but I've liked it for quite some time. It's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, a film by...
Yeah, I watched this one the other day. When you put it on your list and I'd not watched it, I was like, right, well, if I'm going to agree with that, I've got to see what all the hype's about.
Yeah, it was...
And it's a really good film.
It was actually the last film I saw before the first lockdown kicked in, when cinemas were still open. And that's the main reason I remember it, is because there was months where I was like, oh, that film's just stuck in my head because I haven't seen any others in a cinema. But yeah, well, what did you think? Because you've only just seen it.
Yeah, it was really beautifully done. It's 18th century queer romance story about the forbidden love between an aristocrat and a painter who's painting her portrait.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it was really well directed, really well acted. It's a French film with subtitles, obviously, and it was just really compelling.
Yeah, like I remember when I watched it, the lead played the painter. I think her name was Naomi Marlon in the French way. But I remember a lot of it being that she did a really good performance, but purely through her face. Like, there was so many shots of her face where she portrayed so much emotion without actually having to do much. And it was perfect for that film because it is so subtle in its moves between sort of the love story and the history of the pair and stuff. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
I just really, like, on paper, I'm not really one for, like, period films, but I was a bit apprehensive, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, it could have been boring, but it wasn't at all. It was... I was hooked. I just found it really, really captivating. I spent quite a while thinking about it after as well. It was just, something about the way that it was shot, and the tension that there always is in all of the scenes. It communicated exactly what it meant for them to have a relationship as they did.
Yeah.
At that time, even when there was a celebratory nature to it, it still captured the essence of kind of the social dynamic of the time.
Yeah.
Through the characters.
And I think, in a weird way, it made me want to start painting again. I used to enjoy art when I was younger, and I remember the scenes where she is painting her. I was like, fuck, I want to start painting again. It looks amazing.
You won't always have an attractive model to paint, though. You have to understand that.
It's all right. I've got a mirror. It's fine.
Oh God, that was disgusting. I feel physically sick.
Smithers, are they booing me?
No, they're saying Boo Earns. Boo Earns.
Are you saying boo or boo earns?
As soon as I had that in my head, I was like, I hate myself before I even said it. But fuck it.
Well, I hate you, so that makes two of us.
Well, that's fine. It's a good thing I'm staring at myself in the mirror then, because no one else will.
Oh, self-loathing as well. Wonderful.
Well, we're in lockdown again. That's perfect time for it.
Speaking of self-loathing, it's time for my award.
Yep.
The Alistair's Pretentious Award, which goes to the most pretentious film of 2020. and there was only going to be one winner, wasn't there?
I mean,
it had to be a film that I liked.
Go on,
and
then.
a film that lots of other people disliked. I'm thinking of Ending Things by Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, which I didn't even mind it as a film, and it seems to have made a lot of like top lists of the year, but then it's also been in some not so good lists of the year, and I can sort of understand both sides like completely. Like it's you either like it or you don't.
Yeah, and I think the people that really like it are the type of people that are like, yeah, but you just don't get it.
Yeah.
And the people that really don't like it are the ones that are like, yes, but also I expect certain things from a film and it really didn't do that, which is totally fair. Yeah, I don't think it was an amazing film. I did enjoy it because it ticked all the boxes for me. But then I'm an incredibly pretentious person, so it works.
I think that's what sets us above other film establishments, is that we can enjoy something and still acknowledge that it's pretentious as fuck.
Yeah, no, exactly.
All right, well, now we've got that one out of the way. We're at number 4. Oh,
number 4.
A Wild Zoe has appeared.
A Wild Zoe has appeared. Do you want to come and say hello quickly, Zoe? Come here, come on. Just say hello just speak into this bit here. Just say hello,
hi, Jack. Hi.
Say hello, world.
Hello, world.
Hello, I do exist. It's true. Alistair does have a girlfriend.
What? Oh my god, the illusion has been shattered. She's real.
It's alright, I can edit that bit out.
Don't edit it out.
Alright, well, moving on. Do you want to do number 4?
No, I'm alright this time. Number 4 is, well, basically, this is a little bit cheeky of us. We have 10 spaces, and there have been some very good films which are all interconnected. So we've to be fair to all of the other films, we've put the series that is Small Axe together, because there were a couple of really good films, Mangrove, Lovers Rock. It needed to kind of be condensed into one so that we could talk about other films as well.
Yeah.
And not just spend an hour raving about Steve McQueen. Although we could also do that in another episode if we wanted.
Yeah, because this
Small Axe.
It was sort of. I wanted to include Mangrove because I really enjoyed that one, but then it also seemed a bit unfair not to include the whole thing because they're all done really. Or the one I haven't seen all of them yet. I've seen Mangrove, Red, White, and Blue, and I think it's Education. I think is the other one.
Yeah,
and I think there's 2 I haven't seen, but they're all really well done. They're all compelling stories, and they're all a fucking massive achievement to be able to release in this anthology format, which is commendable in itself.
Yeah, I mean, take them individually and they'd be strong. Together, holy shit! Like defining.
A lot of directors would struggle to make one of those films come and have it ready to release in a year.
Yeah, I don't know how he's done it, but mad props to Steve McQueen. I mean, what else can we really?
Well, it's still available.
We probably should.
It's still available on iPlayer, I believe. So if you haven't,
yeah, I think it's iPlayer in the US. It's available on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Well, because I know some people in the UK that haven't watched it because they're under the impression that they're all connected or something. Like you need to watch one to understand the other. But
there are themes that connect them, but you can watch.
Yeah, don't feel daunted by it. Just crack on and try and watch as many of them as you can because they're definitely worth it.
Yeah, and if someone can come up with the excuse as well to watch binge watch Netflix shows, 4 of these are only an hour and 10 minutes or something. There's only one that's 2 hours long, so go for it. Honestly, you won't regret it.
And that brings us on to the next award, which I believe is Best Director.
Best Director. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to do it for the set. Yeah, it's a bit late now anyway. Yeah, Best Director. There were a few. Well, we came up with a short list of 2, and we agreed on. We agreed that one of the runner-up, although an amazing achievement and is rightfully lauded for what he made. He's already gotten a lot of a lot of good press for it.
Yeah, so we're gonna an honourable mention to Bong Joon-ho because he's already won the Oscar.
There we go. Yeah,
he's already won the BAFTA. He's won basically everything, and we love Bong Joon-ho. But
yeah,
we thought
we do.
Given the 2 we had to pick from, we thought it'd be nice to go for the underdog. Because we're English. English people love an underdog.
We do. Have you not even seen Wimbledon?
Let's not talk about that film. God, I love you, Paul Bettany, but just no.
So we have gone for Remy Weeks for His House.
Yep. So he's now won Best Director and Jack's Tearjerker Award. He's having a great year.
Wow.
What a great start to his 2021.
If you're listening, Remy.
But yeah, I think the thing that swayed it for me was that this was a debut, and I just think for how much I was impacted by that film, I thought it was an amazing achievement. And
just incredible. Incredible. The way that he communicated that story was just astonishing.
Yeah, and he got great performances out of everyone involved. He conveyed the themes of it without bashing us over the head. Like, just everything you want a director to do, he did it really well.
The Midas touch, and to do that first time round, well, hats off.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 3.
You're getting less and less enthusiastic now as well.
I know, I am. I need to get my energy up. Yeah, number 3 is The Lighthouse. We love The Lighthouse. We've already mentioned it. It's won cinematography. What a film. It's incredible. I don't know what to say.
It's one of those, because it came out earlier in the year. There's not a lot more that can be said about it that hasn't already been said. But I think Robert Eggers is proving himself to be a great director, and this just cemented it. Like, I was a big fan of The Witch before, and I think he's topped it with The Lighthouse, and I'm excited to see what he does next.
Robert Pattinson was great. Willem Dafoe, arguably...
I'll never be able to look at beans in the same way.
It was just so good. An incredible production on all fronts, and for someone that will openly admit that black and white films can be a bit of a task for me at times. It was just what a film. On another day I could easily put it higher, but we're looking at fairness, and we're trying to keep it,
Yeah, I did actually have it as my number 2 originally, but I'm glad we put it as 3. I think that's a good spot for it.
Yeah, I think it's still got a podium place. We're getting to the rear end of the competition, and I think a bronze medal is fair, and the bronze would it suits the rest of the production as well. That kind of salt of the earth.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna stop there.
But talking about rear end, we're actually getting to our coveted 2020 award for worst film of the year.
Yeah.
We do have a couple.
What do you mean? Talking of rear end.
Well, I thought that was a good segue. I mean, it's the best.
I see.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm slow.
I thought that was really seamless. And you've just gone and poked holes in it.
Yeah.
We do have we had a couple of possibilities for this award. One of which we haven't seen, but we've heard terrible, terrible things about.
Yeah, I mean, I had confidence in the 2 that I had seen being pretty much up there, but I did check to see what other people were saying was the worst film of 2020, and there were a few people that quite decisively said this one that we haven't seen, but we can't give the prize to a film that we haven't watched, because that's not in the spirit of the show. And so, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it's not in the spirit of the show, but unfortunately or fortunately for Robert Downey Jr., you're off the hook, because Dolittle will not win the worst film of the year.
I've heard he does a terrible Welsh accent. I've heard that at one point he pulls a suit of armour out of an animal's arse. It just doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't sound good.
Right, you really got lucky there. We also have an honourable mention for Hillbilly Elegy, the poverty porn that managed to come up with the world's worst moral message at the end of it, which was good for this guy, I guess. But
essentially, just
winning,
don't be poor.
Yeah. But Winning is a film that Jack and I saw together and fought every human urge to walk out of, just so that we could do the honour of giving you guys an actual review. It's The New Mutants.
Anyone that's listened to our show fairly regularly will not be surprised, because I think we gave it a 2 out of 10.
I think so.
It was horrendous.
I mean, basically, The New Mutants was so symptomatic of everything that is lazy and cash grabby and just steaming bollocky wank about Hollywood.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was just all in one, and it was too much for us to bear.
Yeah.
The laziness of that film, considering how much money is poured into something like that, is just an embarrassment. That is what you have to show for a budget of, I don't know exactly how much, but I can imagine somewhere.
I don't want to look it up because it's just going to make me even more annoyed.
It's truly appalling.
I think that's the thing. It's not just there's some films that are bad and you just forget about, but there's some films that are so bad you actually get angry watching them, and that was definitely one of them. And the worst
congratulations.
The worst part was that Anya Taylor-Joy's in it.
I know. And after the Queen's Gambit came out this year as well. Imagine having a year where you put out a film like Emma, and you put out a series that reaches critical acclaim like the Queen's Gambit, and hanging over you is The New Mutants, just in the background, as a solid reminder that it's not necessarily as good as we think.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a good thing that they came after, because it sort of stopped her from spiraling downward.
I was going to say, if the Queen's Gambit had been shit, that might have been...
That was the nail in the coffin.
Over.
There, yeah.
That would have been Hallmark TV movies for the next 30 years.
I'm still rooting for her, no matter what.
I know you are.
Even if she...
Anyway.
I'm not allowed to go within 500 feet of her.
On to number 2.
Our number 2. We've mentioned this a lot. It's His House.
His House. Runner-up. I mean, I think you would take runner-up if you got 2 other awards.
I think you'd take anything on this show, because he doesn't have a fucking clue it exists.
Well, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, we both really enjoyed it, and we've gone on about it a fair bit now, but if you haven't checked it out, if you listen to this show and you haven't checked it out, then I don't know what more we can say to convince you to go watch it.
Congratulations. You're being released as asylum seekers, not as citizens, not yet. You will be sent to a home of our choosing. You must not move from this address.
We are good people.
Whether or not you're good people, It's not me that needs convincing.
I mean, at this point, we actually sound like we've been paid off to promote this film, because we have just completely thrown every bit of praise towards it. It's so good. It's really fucking good. I mean, it probably stands in our hearts a little bit more in the sense that we're British, and it's something that it's politically quite relevant for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think the English setting,
relevant to everyone.
Yeah, I think the English setting made it hit home a bit more. But I feel like anyone in a Western society can watch that and understand the same concepts that we took from it. And
yeah,
and there's all that going on, and then it's just also a really good horror film. So very multifaceted. I don't know what more to say. Go fucking watch it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I wish we were getting paid for this.
Yeah.
That would make life a lot easier.
And it's time for our penultimate award. This is the best lead role in a film in 2020.
Well, I had a couple of an honourable mention to Elizabeth Moss for Invisible Man. I know you didn't enjoy Invisible Man as much as I did, but I still think she put in a really good performance, considering half her scenes was acting with nothing.
No, she was very good, and she elevated that film a lot, I think. And it was an okay film. It wasn't.
It was
bad.
a good film. But we won't get into that argument now.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out...
But she was good, and I will agree with that.
Okay, fine. I also want to shout out Morfydd Clark for Saint Maud, and I feel much more confident pronouncing her name now. And I think it was a similar thing. I think she made that film better than it already was, just for the manner in which she portrayed that character. I thought she was great.
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. Yet again, I'm running out of positive adjectives.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll move on.
As this goes on.
I'll let you announce the winner of Best Lead Performance.
This is one that we actually spent a little bit of time coming up with this, asking, was this a lead performance or a supporting performance? Because depending on which one it was, would be which one he won. But we decided eventually that it was a lead role, and that lead role won, with Delroy Lindo being our award winner. And I don't imagine this will be the first time that his name will be brought up.
No, 100%. He's going to be cleaning up when the lesser awards eventually do happen.
Yeah. I mean, so this is for The Five Bloods.
Yeah, which is another one of those films. It came out early in the year, so some people may have forgotten about, but go back and watch it, because he was spectacular in it. He's one of those that he's always quite naturally likable person on screen, and I think that just helped him even more, because I genuinely did care about what he was going through and him as a person, and I thought he was just amazing in it.
Yeah, like 100%. I mean, I find it difficult to compare his performance to any of the other performances that we went for.
Yeah, it is one of those. I think there's no way we couldn't give it to him in the end, just because there's almost that unlistable quality about it, where you don't quite know what you're witnessing, but you just know it's fucking great. And that definitely had that aspect all over it.
100%.
So, congrats, Delroy. He's probably, out of all of them, he's the least likely to be listening to this, because not only is he American, but he's also old. So he's definitely not listening to this.
What are you saying?
I'm saying I've seen the podcast analytics. Old people don't like us very much.
Oh, well, we could cut down on the swearing, I suppose. Will you listen then, Delroy? Will you love me then, father? Well,
I'm sure your actual father will be thrilled to hear that.
Yeah, that brings us on to our final acknowledgement for this show.
It's film of the year.
Number one.
Number one.
The film of 2020. And I mean, this is probably the biggest anticlimax.
It's the most obvious fucking...
any of you could have expected.
I still love
Jack,
it.
What is it?
It is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite.
What a fucking film.
I know. It was the same as Delroy Lindo. There's no way we could have given it to anyone else apart from that film.
잠깐. 제시카 외동딸 일리노이 시카고 과선배는 김치모 그는 이사촌.
It's just astonishing. The mastery of a genre, of cinema, of writing, of everything, just combined and just flowed out of this singular picture. It was just, oh my god.
And I think that's watching it. Obviously, we don't know what goes on behind the screens, but it seems it came across like he had complete control over everything, effortlessly. Like everything was just. It was like watching someone. One of those videos of like a gifted 7-year-old who's like the world's best.
A savant.
Yeah, that's the one.
It was like an episode of Chef's Table, or an episode of like watching Last Night at the Proms or something. It was just faultless. It was beautiful, and it was a spectacle for anyone that had the privilege to view.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it by now, then you're probably listening to the wrong podcast, because it is comfortably the best film of 2020. Any of our American listeners or people from abroad, it came out at the start of 2020 here, so it's definitely on our 2020 list. And I don't know if there's much more we can say about it, but congratulations to all the winners. I'm sure you're still in tears right now. Very excited.
Well, yeah. Your awards are in the post. Well, they would be if Jack wasn't barred from having any celebrities' contact details.
I was going to say, does that mean I have Anya Taylor-Joy's home address?
Oh god, it's not.
In between episodes, we always say, Jack, maybe you should calm it down on the joking about Anya Taylor-Joy, and I say, yeah, I probably should. And then this happens.
I would think the court now sees this as irrefutable evidence.
But as I said,
at this point,
it's all comedy. Nothing. Any police listening, this is not to be taken seriously.
Okay, say that one more time, and I can see the sentence being written by the judge as we go.
Mr. Chambers went on to say, "This is not to be taken seriously."
3 more times.
All right.
I think that's all we've got time for.
Well, that wraps it up for us and for the year 2020. This is our first episode of 21, and we're going to try and keep it going with all the diversions from unusual plan. We're back in lockdown 3 now in the UK, so we're going to be still recording on Zoom and try and see as many films as we can online. We've already got a couple films we can review for next week, so thanks for sticking with us in technically our first year as a podcast, first few months at least.
Yeah. No, it's been a surprising pleasure to do this for you all, and I'm looking forward to this time next year when we'll be able to bring you the next series, and hopefully we'll be a little bit more polished. You never know. But more than anything else, this is just a lot of fun. I love watching films, and also being a white man, obviously I feel like my voice needs to be heard so much. So this gives me the perfect platform. So no, but genuinely, thank you so much, everybody that's listened in so far and continues to listen. we wouldn't carry on doing. Well, to be honest, we might actually carry on doing this if we got no listeners. But it's nice
something
to have
to do,
a bit
isn't
of
it?
Validation.
Cheers to everyone that's been listening. If you ever want to share or promote us in any way, feel free, because we're not fucking spending any money on promotion. So feel free to do that. I guess we're going to be putting this whole thing on the YouTube. It would be good to do. I don't see why not.
I think we can do that if I can get around to it.
And obviously we've got all our old reviews on there, and we'll continue putting them up on there. We're going to be using the Instagram at the Box Office Bar. But until then, if you're in the UK, best of luck with the new lockdown. Look after yourselves, look after your mental health and whatnot. For everywhere else across the world, fuck you. That's about it for this week. So
and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all. We'll be back next week with some more reviews and whatnot. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.